your brain is actually just having a meltdown there, Maliki. I don't know.
We've played some pretty amateur rugby since, only just beating a C-team France team.
That would actually be insane.
Hello, and welcome to Much Ado About Rugby's Christmas special. Today, we have a fun Christmas-themed change from the normal, but of course, with the usual rugby content we know you all love. So, of course, this episode is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and we are also on Facebook and Instagram with the tag Much Ado About Rugby, so you can go find us there. So today, the format for this episode is going to be slightly different to our normal format, but it is going to be similar to a format some of you might know. It's called a show called Fighting Talk on BBC Radio 5 Live, and if you haven't listened, I would thoroughly recommend it. They have a few episodes up at the moment. They're most Saturdays at 11 o'clock. But essentially it's a game, a quiz show, and we have very simple rules in play. We're going to do our own little version of it. So I'm going to ask a series of questions. Our panel will come up with answers and give reasoning for their answers, and they will get credit for creativity and comedy. You get 3 points for the best answer, 1 point for the worst answer. I have the say on all answers and all points giving, so if they give an answer that I don't like, they can easily lose points. They can easily get points taken away. Also, there's a special bonus round at the end, but we'll come on to that later. Now, I've said our panel, and of course, it's time for me to introduce them. So, they are all familiar faces in the Much Ado About Rugby in the Much Ado About Rugby pod room. So, firstly, we have the Ireland and England hybrid that somehow gets away with supporting two international teams at once. It's Maliki. Maliki, how you doing, my G?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you. How are you, Ed?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. You got some good answers lined up for us today?
Yeah, I think I've got a few funny answers. I'm excited for this episode. I'm excited.
Yeah, we've got put a bit of work into it, haven't we? So better go well. I'm struggling already with these little soundboard things that I've managed to come up with.
It's
But
all right.
yeah, we'll be fine. Okay, so next on our panel we have the sexy beast, who is somehow always right about everything. We'll see how right he is today in our quiz. It's Maxon Lambert. Maxon, how you doing today, mate?
Yeah, good, lovely intro.
Yeah, mate, thought it suited you quite well. Yeah, so Mackie, mate, what about you? You confident today? You gonna win?
Yeah, I think I've got a pretty good chance. I've lined up some high quality answers. I've got a nice balance of pure factual rugby and also comedy in there. So
That's
I
what
rate
we
my
like to hear.
chances.
That's what we like to hear, mate. That's what we like to hear. Now, our third contestant on the panel is someone who people should find familiar, really. He's been on the show before, known as the hairiest man in all of England, a Harlequins fan, and otherwise known as Mr. Booze. It is, of course, Will Simpson. Simmo, I've, of course, had to get this theme music on for you just because it's so good. And we've got this as well, so I'm going to be playing that throughout your answers. So, mate, thank you for joining us again. How are you doing?
No problem. Good, thank you. Still hairy. But
Yeah.
looking forward to. I've got a few good answers prepared, so looking forward to it. Thank you for having me back.
Perfect. Lovely
Cool
stuff,
hair.
mate. Absolutely no worries. Right, okay. Let's go into the questions then. First question. With David Pocock, known as the Turnover King, having retired from international rugby, he will forever be revered as possibly the best dealer of opposition ball. And with Christmas around the corner, and bearing that in mind, which player is most likely to steal your Christmas presents? Let's start off with Simmo being our guest today. Let's start off with you.
Right, so the player I've said is most likely to steal my Christmas presents is the Scotland international Jamie Ritchie. The art of shithousery goes a very long way in the game of rugby, providing comedy for us as the fans and an advantage to their own team. And without fail, Jamie Ritchie is one of the best in the modern game. Without fail, he gets the other team to niggle, sometimes a bit more than a niggle, when Ben Harras punched him straight in the face. Although I don't think it really hurt him that much, as he already has steel plates in his cheeks. So from that, I would definitely assume he is someone who would love to play a good practical joke at Christmas. and hide or steal people's Christmas presents. He is also not half bad over the ball in the game of rugby. So therefore, in terms of execution, he'd probably be pretty flawless as well. So that's why I think Jamie Ritchie.
Nice one, Simmo. Mal?
I've decided to go for Peter Steph du Toit because having a look at his history, I feel he's, yeah, I know, controversial. I feel he's got a bit of history in stealing stuff. So the first thing I feel he stole is the Rugby World Cup from England, of course. I'm not crying about it, but yeah, alongside him and the whole South Africa side, we should have won really, let's be honest. England deserved that World Cup. But yeah. And then secondly, he also stole the World Player of the Year award for 2019. Like, let's be honest, what did he actually do in 2019? He's not that good. Like, I'm sure Tom Curry and Colby feel a bit robbed themselves. So yeah, looking at his history and those facts, I think, and along the side that he's probably a bit of a dick, to be honest. I think he's the kind of guy who would probably steal your presents. So yeah, I've gone for Peter Steph du Toit.
Good answer, Mal. Good answer. Maxine, go.
So I've actually chosen Jacob Umanga. And I've chosen Jacob Umanga for two main reasons. First of which is due to the amount of stealing that he's been doing this year. Very naughty boy he is. So Jacob Umanga, obviously he's been stealing all the limelight within the Prem. Been playing fantastically well for the Wasps. And he's also stolen many places in England training camps from some great quality 10s where it might not be deserved. So yeah, Jacob Umanga. The second reason why I've chosen Jacob Umanga, obviously, is because he's chosen to play for England instead of New Zealand. So his parents definitely hate him. So I don't think he's going to be having many presents this year from his parents. So in order to get some presents, he's definitely going to have to steal some from me. So Jacob Umanga.
Very good, guys. Right, I'll tot up some scores for that round. And yeah, I can safely say that, Max, and I'm actually going to deduct 1 point from you just because I don't like you that much. There you go.
Just August's parents hate him.
So yeah, on to the second question then. Obviously on the Real Fighting Talk, they would probably have someone call in now, but we didn't want Major to call in, so there you go. So with so many great figures in World Rugby, who would you most like to have for Christmas dinner?
So the player you're going to me first?
Yeah, Simmo, you can go.
The player I would want to have most at my Xmas dinner is Brian Moore, the commentator. I think Brian Moore brings the wit, the comedy, and the occasional passionate outburst to his commentary. With everyone's favourite being when he lost it when England kept kicking the ball to Italy and he screams. Another favourite of mine actually is when he called a player a half-wit on live TV. So yeah, I think he would add some great wits and blunt chat to the dinner table. And along with that, some brilliant stories. He played in an era just before the game went professional, where a period when drinking and nightclubs were as compulsory as the actual rugby games. So I think he'd bring some excellent chat to the table. And lastly, I want to know what he actually thinks of his fellow commentator, Eddie Butler, who, if you've ever heard someone droning on about Wales or some irrelevant aspects of the game, it will be Eddie Butler. And I want to know whether Brian Moore actually likes that man, because I do not.
Lovely stuff. Let's go with Mackie next, please.
Yeah, so I've chosen Joe Marler. First and foremost, hilarious bloke who plays for a fantastic rugby club at Harlequins, I must say, Ed.
They are good, I must say. Yeah, they are
They're
good.
great. They're probably one of the best sides in the Premier. Nah, absolutely hilarious guy. I mean, a few moments that stand out. Obviously, his little tiff with James Haskell on the rugby pitch is quite a funny moment. I think he squirted some water.
I don't think you really need to say much more than that, honestly, Maxine. I think you've probably got the points.
Well,
Mal?
I've got one other point.
Do you want to? No, I don't care. Mal?
Well, I thought I can't really pass up on the opportunity to have Christmas dinner with a rugby legend. So I've actually gone for Johnny Wilkinson because I thought at Christmas dinner you would probably want to hear some pretty good stories. And what is a better story to hear than winning the World Cup for England with a drop goal? Like, that would actually be insane. But then alongside that, he's just got a pretty insane career. Probably one of the most famous English rugby players ever to live. Probably is the most famous. So I'm sure he has a lot to talk about. And yeah, I'm sure it'd be great company.
Awesome. Yep, very good, Mal. Simmo, unfortunately, that answer just didn't quite beat Mal and Maxon's great English legends, the Marlow and Wilkinson there.
Brian Moore's definitely a legend.
No, but I did like Brian Moore. No, he just seems like a bit of a dick to me, to be honest. But you can have dinner. You can have dinner with him if you want. I'm sure it'll be very interesting. But okay, everyone loves a few new items in their wardrobe for Christmas. But which of the rugby kits from 2020 that we've seen play and throughout the year for club or international level would you most like to buy for Christmas this year?
The kit I would most like to have in my stocking would be the Stade Francais home jersey from this year. There have been some brilliant and outrageous rugby jerseys over the year. However, no one does it quite like Stade Francais. They've had some truly outrageous, ugly, and general hideous tops over the year, which make them stand out. It makes them look brilliant when they're playing well, and like a touring party who are still hungover when they're losing. However, their 2020 kit is actually a bit different. They've actually managed to design a really nice, cool, and slick jersey, showcasing their classic pink with lightning bolts across the chest. So therefore, I quite like that in my locker.
Whoa, pretty good, pretty good. I haven't seen the kit personally, so I'm not sure how many points you'll actually get. But let's go with Mal.
I decided to go for the Munster kit. Now, the first time, the Munster European kit, not their normal kit, I've got to make that clear, because their European kit, I only actually saw recently.
The European kit, is it, Mal?
Mate, it's dang. It's actually it's sick. Like,
yeah, it's good.
It's like a red scarlety colour. Seriously nice. And I think that the big thing is it's a massive upgrade on their previous kit, which is like a really not very nice red kit. So yeah, it's a Adidas kit as well. I think they produce the best kits, the 3 stripes and everything. But yeah, seeing it on the pitch against Quins last weekend and then against Claremont yesterday, it just looks so good. It just looks so good. So yeah, that's the kit I'm having to go for.
Fair enough. Maxon.
Yeah, I've chosen the Toulouse home kit. Absolutely stunning kit. Also helped by some of the great rugby they play and some rather good-looking players they have on their team as well. So I think it makes their kit even better. A lovely red colour, fairly consistent throughout. Nice crest.
Lovely red color, consistent throughout. What does that mean? I like it though. I like it. Maximum points for Maxon. Now, obviously, as it's coming towards the end of the year, we are kind of going to incorporate our 2020 awards into this quiz. So it's the same format as the questions before. There are 4 awards that we're doing. So obviously I've asked for nominations from each of our panel players. So what I'll do is just ask the questions one by one for the nominations, and then I will be picking obviously the final winner of each award. So without further ado, let's start with Maxon this time. Who is the best player of 2020, please? Nomination.
Yep. So my best player, I've gone for yes, lady. I've gone for Henry Slade. He won the double with Exeter, played fantastically well, pulling strings in that side. Also been playing very, very well for England, been very flexible. Great looking bloke, all round on terribly well this year. So Slade wins it for me.
Just gonna let that hang with Maxon saying Sadie's a good-looking bloke there. That's fine. We know where Maxon's tendencies lie then. Okay, Maliki.
Well, I spent quite a long time trying to decide on this because I thought there's been so many great players this year, but I thought you can't really give it to anyone else other than Maro Itoje. From his presence on the field, screaming at every ruck, to the turnovers he makes and just making all those dominant tackles, putting pressure on the team. I think the impact that he has on any team is unparalleled. You can't really compare him to any other player. He is the best player in the world. Let's be honest. He plays for England. We are the best team in the world. And yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, it is very nice. That was, yeah. Let's just see if Simmo can possibly top that at all. Go on, Simmo.
Right, well, I've gone for my best player, someone called Antoine Dupont, who won Six Nations Player of the Tournament. And I think had he been playing in the last game against England, I don't think Maritoje would have as many trophies in his. And the reason I think he's the best player is pretty simple. I love watching him play. So at a time when rugby's been described as one just for the purists, and maybe a few rule changes are needed to make it more free-flowing, I think interesting players like Dupont are perfect and needed. His step, creativity, surprising speed, and natural scrum half cunning makes him the perfect fit to play for Quins. So if you're watching Antoine, please come over to Quins. And in the meantime, he's a crucial player for both France and Toulouse. And he's one Eddie Jones was definitely happy to see on the sidelines.
Lovely stuff.
Antoine.
So the answer that the answer that I like most, Max, and I don't know where you're going with Slade there. Obviously, he hasn't been the best player this year. What are you talking about? It's obviously Maritoje. So thank you very much, Maliki, for bringing that to my attention. He is Much Ado About Rugby's 2020 Player of the Year. So well done, Maro. Right, second nominations that we need to get out are the ones for Young Player of the Year. So I didn't really set an age range for this, but I kind of just let our panel use their imaginations a little bit. So let's start with Maxim for this one, please.
Yeah, so I've gone along similar lines of my best player award. I've gone for an extra player. I've gone for Gareth Steenson at the fine young age of 36 years, 8 months and 15 days. He's had a fantastic breakthrough season for Exeter, winning the double. Really great one to watch for the future. I think he's definitely a future England 10.
Tired. Just tired.
Wait, how old actually is he?
He's 36, 8 months and 15 days.
He's retired.
Yeah, we'll be right back after that one, Max, and thank you very much. Right, Mal, on with you, please.
You're going to hate this, Ed, but I've had to go for an Irish lad. Caelan Doris, who else? He's been absolutely immense this year. I decided to go for best young player. I thought you've got quite a lot of young guys who are already starting for their national team. So I decided to go for a breakthrough player who's made the leap to national and starting in that club. And obviously that is what Caelan Doris has done. He's been immense for Leinster. He's been immense for Ireland. His physicality, like I don't know what else you want. He can play both flanker and 8. And I've got him down for being in the Lions tour 2021.
Definitely. Definitely. Your brain is actually just having a meltdown there, Maliki. I don't know what you're on about, but come on, Simmo, save it, please.
I too went for a player like Maliki, who has recently made the jump up to international. He's not far off half the age of Gareth Steenson, unlike Mackie. He is called Jordan Pattaya. He's from the other hemisphere, and I won't pretend to know copious amounts of young under 20 players. I didn't fancy Googling them and spouting off some crap. But Jordan Pattaya is 20 years old and he's already played in the World Cup for Australia. I think he's one of the most exciting young players because of his speed and strength. And everybody likes to gas up a young back who has the ability to run right whenever he gets the ball. So who better than Jordan Pattaya? While I'm sure there are plenty of young 20-year-olds out there, none have quite the CV of Jordan Pattaya. And he is growing as an important player in the Australian lineup.
He is bloody good, that guy.
Yeah, fair play. Right, Simmo comes away with the points from that one. Well played, Simmo. Next award, where is it? I've lost it. Oh yeah, this one was a bit random. I don't know. I just kind of chose it randomly. Best worst player. Can we have Maxim go first on this one? Best worst player, Maxim, please.
Yeah, sure. I struggled to think of someone for this because I was debating between two, but for the best worst player, I wasn't really sure how to pull it, but I went for Alan Wynne-Jones. Been absolutely awful. Alan Wynne-Jones completely lost it. The Wales team becoming a tier 2 nation. I feel quite bad for him after the career he's had, but I think he should hang up his boots and end it. Because he's been pretty dreadful in 2020.
Yeah. He's definitely the best worst player in that Wales team. Well done. Let's go with Simmo, please.
So I went with the player called Gabriel Ibitoye. There may be some slight resent here since he left Quins and went to France to play for Argent. However, I think that was a grave mistake because for those of you who don't know, Argent came second last in the top 14 last year and are yet to win a game this year in the top 14. They're pretty dreadful. They're going down. They're going down. So therefore,
Yeah.
you can easily assume it's not a brilliant team. However, Ibitoye was one of the top try scorers and meters made and ball carriers in the Quins team. So therefore, he is my best worst player because he's a good young player who's wasting his talent in France.
Yeah, good point. Who's left? Mal. Is it
Mal,
you?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I've decided to go for Duncan Weir. Now I've chose this because let's be honest, he's not exactly the best player. Like he barely stands out in a Worcester team, let alone in the Premiership. Yeah, he's managed to squeeze himself into the starting 10 spot in the up and coming Scotland team, due to the injuries of Adam Hastings and what's this called, Finn Russell. But still, how has he done that? And all alongside that, he's rocking that ridiculous but also hilarious afro, which makes him look like comes straight out of like a 70s disco or something stupid. But yeah, he's just quite hilarious how he's managed to how he's starting for Scotland, and his throw is just a bit too good to ignore. So yeah, he's my best worst player.
Yeah, Mal, you take the points on that one, I think, just because obviously he is the best worst player, but he's not like he like Alan Jones is a great player, so therefore Duncan Weir has to take the points. I'm afraid Ibitoye hasn't even got England caps, so can't really give you that one. So 1 second while I just tot up the points. Mal, you take the points for that round, with Maxine coming a solid last.
What? How did that happen?
All right, the last award we have is Rugby Moment of the Year. So if I could start off with Simmo for this one, please.
Okay, I was thinking of going for the recent game between Harlequins and Northampton, but I couldn't decide in a moment. So instead, I've gone for Josh Matavese's try versus Worcester a few months ago. I don't know whether you saw it, but it's one of the most unlikely of fly half tries. It was the type of try rugby fans showed non-rugby fans to try and impress them about the game of rugby. And I think Matavesi was described by the commentator as the ender of worlds. Basically, to set the scene, he received the ball in the 10 position, and for those not familiar with Matavesi or Bath's squad, you'd think it was a forward who'd got lost in the back line or fancied themselves like a 10, a bit like forwards do, like Maxon used to do back in schoolboy rugby, and it'd just be an utter shit show. But what he did do is he threw a huge dummy which fooled absolutely nobody, either in the crowd watching on TV or anyone on the other team. However, that didn't matter because he went and just trucked straight over his opposite man, bounced another person and went under the posts. So therefore, the power, the attempted ingenuity, which didn't quite come off, and the comedic value showed everything that is great about rugby, and that's why I made it my try of the year. It was also a fantastic game for Bath. So while I don't support them, it was good fun to watch.
Lovely stuff. Let's go with Maxon next, please.
So I thought you were talking about the one where he like runs from fullback and does the most outrageous dummy and like goes straight through.
No.
I think it was the game before, and the game before and the game after he tried it again and bounced him and scored anyway.
Yeah. It was at the ref.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so my moment of the year, I mean, it's not as in-depth as Simmo's, but mine was in a Six Nations game back in February, I think, when there were crowds. Wales versus England. So I think there was a scrum which England won. Joe Marler continues to walk through and grab Alan Jones' nuts. And then proceed to get a ban for it as well. So that's my rugby moment of 2020 is Joe Marler squeezing Alan Jones' nuts.
The great thing about the ban is that it was literally the last game before lockdown, wasn't it? So by the time he completed his however long it was ban, he was actually back on the pitch for the next fixture, which was great. So big kudos to Joe Marler there for that timing. And Maliki, can we have your moment of the year, please?
I've had to go for Johnny May's try against Ireland. Like, I'm a big sucker for backs scoring tries, and especially tries where the player running just seems untouchable, which is exactly what he is. The pace, the skill, the footwork, the kicking, everything about it is just ridiculous. He literally ran from pretty much his own try line all the way and scored, and especially against such a big team like Ireland. And when it was in a game which probably was a lot more pressure, it actually proved the difference between the two teams. So yeah, Johnny May's try has to be that.
You had maximum points until you said it was such a big game against Ireland, because yeah, obviously we all know.
I had to put that in. I had to put it in.
We all know that is not really. But yeah, so there we have it. Our rugby awards are done for this year. So just to confirm, our player of the year is Maro Itoje, nominated by Mal. Our young player of the year is Jordy Barrett, nominated by Will Simpson. 1 second. Our best worst player was Duncan Weir, nominated by Maliki. And our moment of the year is all 3 moments. Matavesi try for Bath, Marla squeezing the nuts, and Johnny May's try against
Rugby's just such a great game, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, it's full of so many great moments. You can't choose one. So obviously on normal fighting talk, they have a round at the end called Defend the Indefensible. So this is essentially when our panel will need to defend a statement for 20 seconds that they inherently disagree with. So I guess let's just jump into it. Now, there are 10 points on offer for the people that manage to go the whole 20 seconds and properly, do defend the indefensible, because it has happened before on Fighting Talk where people have not defended the statement, and just because it's too outrageous, but I'm sure that won't be the case this time. It doesn't really have that strong a connection with rugby. So without further ado, Maxin, if you could please defend the indefensible for this statement. Saracens are the worst team in Europe. They cheated to win any silverware that they got. Go.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Sarries obviously broke the salary cap, which was absolutely outrageous. And clearly all their players, all their best players stayed there as a result of having all those co-investments with Nigel Ray. And if they didn't have those players, there's no way they would have won as many European Cups or Premiership titles as they did. So for that reason, I think that they should definitely have those titles stripped away from them. Which is extremely disappointing and sad for those people, but Exeter should be awarded all those titles for which they came second place in.
There you go. The music's over now, Max, and that's when you can stop. So well done. You defended that quite well, actually. Went into quite a bit of detail there. Mal, you're next. Obviously, it's an Ireland-themed one. So off the back of their recent form, no Irish players should be picked for the Lions tour. Defend it.
Yeah.
Come on, defend it now.
Okay, so pretty much Ireland, they've been pretty bloody awful, haven't they? Like, let's be honest, they shouldn't really have won any of their games. Like, all their players seem to be out of form. Johnny Sexton, who the fuck is that guy? Like, Conor Murray, out of form. Like, they don't have any good players. Like, half their players aren't even Irish, let's be honest. So how can they even qualify for the Lions if they're not even Irish? So, yeah, I think, none of them should really be Lions. They're just pretty bloody awful team.
Mal, the pain in your face.
You actually looked. That was. We struggled thinking of one for you as well. That was a good one. All right, Simmo. Which one am I got to go for you? I've got a couple written down. Here we go. Okay. England are on a massive decline with an awful coach and 0 young talent. Away you go.
Yeah, England have been on a pretty much downward decline since that game against the All Blacks, which we all watched together. That was one of the best games England I've ever seen. However, since that, we lost in the final. We then lost to France in the Six Nations. We've played some pretty amateur rugby since, only just beating a C-team France team. It's not looking pretty good. We're still relying on some pretty old players like Ben Youngs. Farrell's hitting his 30s soon. So I think by the time he gets to the next World Cup, we're barely going to get out of the pool stage like we did in 2015.
Yeah, Simmo, well done, mate. That was actually way too confident. It sounds like you're actually thinking we were on massive.
Simmo, chill out.
That's the end of the game. We have in last place, obviously, Maxton with 22 points because he got a few minus points at the start. For slating me before the episode even started. Simmo, second place, 25 points, and Mal on 27. However, we have a final bonus question that can decide it. So the person with the best answer for this question will get an extra 7 bonus points. Let's just say 7, just because that makes the winner the winner. So it's one simple question, similar to the ones we were doing earlier, and the best answer will get 7 points and win the game. So winner takes all. The question is, Maliki, will start with you. What would you get a player of your choice for Secret Santa?
So the player I've chosen for this is, of course, Twig Legs, aka Jordy Barrett. Now he's a great player. He's got speed. He's got kicking ability. Can play multiple positions. But one thing he does lack is a good pair of legs. So what I decided to do is get him a squat rack, get him some weights, maybe get him a personal trainer just for the leg workouts. And, maybe one day his legs will be as big as mine. So that's what I'd have to get.
Very good, Mal. Very
nice
good.
Cheap Secret Santa present.
Yeah.
Squat rack.
Maxon, let's go with you, please.
Yeah. So the person I've chosen to give mine to is Alan Wynne-Jones. Obviously, he's getting quite a lot older now. He can see the effects of aging on his body, not leastly his hairline, and he's been seeing a great deal of hair loss. So I would get Alan Wynne-Jones a complete hair transplant, courtesy of myself, transplanting some fine locks from his pubis area to his scalp to unage him.
Thank God for that. Yeah, he definitely needs it. Simmo, let's go with yours to end the program, please.
Right.
What would you get a player of your choice for Secret Santa?
So for Secret Santa, I decided I'd get Johnny May a Forrest Gump running suit or fancy dress outfit. He comes across as being slightly odd at the best of times, and several of his teammates have highlighted this during some interviews. My favourite is when Danny Kerr said Johnny May thought he was possessed by a chicken. Although he has kind of denied this while blushing heavily. Regardless of this, he is the portrayed personality of Johnny May combined with his speed and running style. A bit like a gazelle who will never stop running. Reminds me of Forrest Gump, specifically in the scene where he plays American football, college football. And he keeps running and runs beyond the tryout or the end zone and into the lockers behind. I think this would suit him perfectly. And it would really just be Forrest Gump wearing Forrest Gump.
Awesome. Great answers all round. But I'm afraid to say, both Simmo and Maliki, you've actually fallen short of the final hurdle. It's Maxon that comes away with the point.
Yeah.
Alan Wynne-Jones.
No, what the hell? How did Mackie win that? That is so stupid.
He slated Alan Wynne-Jones
Jordy
twice
Barrett's
now.
like 6'4" and doesn't actually have small legs. He actually has big legs. It's just they're small in comparison to how big he is. Like top half of his body, so that's fine.
Mackie definitely does not deserve to win. He was literally last for the whole thing.
Just hates Alan Wynne.
Yeah,
Wow.
Unlucky fellas. It's fine. It's fine. You can come on next time, and we'll see if we can change that, rig the scoring a little bit maybe. But yeah, it's Maxon that comes away with the points today. How many points did I say I give him? 7. So he ends on a closely fought battle on 29 points. Mal, you're second, still on 27. And Simmo, our guest for today, unfortunately, you've come last with 25. There's no real prize. It's just being on the show. That is the prize. And also, yeah, pride of winning. So
Rugby's the winner.
Yeah, rugby is the real winner.
That is the ultimate winner.
That's what it is.
Yeah, just play rugby for what it is. Come on, guys.
All right. That about sums it up for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you've had as much fun as we have with something a bit different that we've tried to do. If you did like the episode, don't hesitate to contact us on Facebook or Instagram. Obviously, our tag is Much Ado About Rugby. We are also available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube if you want to see our beautiful faces. And we'll have a bit of a Christmassy themed viewing instead of our normal blue background. So that should be a bit of fun as well. Thank you very much for watching or listening to Much Ado About Rugby, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you very much. Bye bye.